On behalf of ISTD Delhi chapter, I extend a warm welcome to all the guests to yet another evening talk series in our Golden Jubilee year. Today, we are very fortunate to have with us a very distinguished speaker, a stalwart in the HR field. He will be sharing his thoughts with us on the topic HR with Heart. I would now request our chapter chairperson, Mr. Mukesh Jain, to welcome Mr. Dwarka Nath and the guests. Mr. Mukesh
Namaskar,
Jain.
Namaskar, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I, on behalf of Management Committee of ISTD Delhi chapter, welcome you all to this Golden Jubilee year evening talk on HR with Heart, HR Dil Se, by none other than veteran HR leader, Shri P. Dwarka Nath sir. There are many avenues into the HR profession. It is what you do with your time, energy, and passion for the profession in the years you are in it that really counts. What really matters is how you build relationship, help others become more successful and deliver results. Friends, being a successful HR professional depends on your passion for continuing learning. I once again welcome Shri P. Dwarka Nath, all the past national president of ISTD, chapter chairperson, NC members, senior members and friends from ISTD, NIPM, NHRD, DMA, FMA, and faculty members and students from Birla Institute of Management Technology. They are our knowledge partner today, and my own Delhi chapter team, Dil Se. I wish you all for a wonderful evening and lot of learning. Namaskar. Over to Pratama ji.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. So before I invite Mr. Dwarka Nath, I will request Dr. Iti Lekha, who is a professor at BIMTech, to introduce the speaker. Dr. Iti Lekha, over to you.
Ma'am, now,
yeah. Good evening, one and all. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving this opportunity. I take this as a privilege and pride in introducing today's evening speaker, Mr. P. Dwarkanath, a real stalwart, one of my favorites, and a person who has lived through HR in real sense. So Mr. P. Dwarkanath is associated with Marx Group of Human Capital. He brings a rich and varied experience of nearly 5 decades. Prior to this, he was the chairman of the GSK Consumer Healthcare and Director Human Resource and Administration, South Asia of GlaxoSmithKline, and associated with GSK for close to 4 decades. He was also a member of GSK's international HR team. He has held the advisory positions in various organizations, including in some of the prestigious management institutions. Mr. Dwarkanath is widely acknowledged as a leader in HR in India. His list of achievements is numerous, but the most apparent is the culture that he has championed in GSK business. Both internally and externally, GSK is acknowledged as one of the best places to work. His passion for building a progressive and people-centric culture is apparent from the fact that GSK has been judged as one of the best employers for several years. His initiatives to drive the new corporate culture during the times of the integration, such as through Simply Better Way, were benchmarks for the then GSK Bicham. He has held several management positions in the various professional bodies. To name a few, he was the president of National HRT Network. He was also the president of Delhi Management Association, regional president, Northern Region for All India Management Association, and the treasurer of IMA. Mr. Dwarkanath has won several prestigious awards for his valuable contribution in the field of human resource and people development. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tilekha.
Hello. Good evening to everyone. Respected President Mukesh ji, other office mayors of the Delhi chapter of ISTD, past national presidents of ISTD, fellow professionals. At the outset, I wish to thank all of you for giving this opportunity to share my experiences, which is not something which you are not familiar with, but I think it's given an opportunity for me to express some of my views, including some concerns, and also to speak from my heart. That's why I have chosen the topic HR with Heart. I think some of my friends like GP also prompted me to go ahead on this. It is not something which is very different, but at the outset, I need to say that, that I was also influenced by what I have gone through all my life, right from my childhood up to now. That also prompted me to choose this topic. While doing it, I need to acknowledge it when we're looking for different titles, which can be more closer to the topic which I'm going to share with you. I also come across a book written by T.V. Rao and others, HR at the Heart of the Business. So which prompted me to take this subject to talk with some passion based on my anecdotes. At the outset, I also want to thank Dr. Litika Deshji for giving such a wonderful and a very, I didn't realize that I have done so many, but thank you very much. I accept with all humility. My association with ISTD goes back to 1982, when I was introduced to this informally by Dr. P.N. Singh, who happened to be associated with me in some of the programs way back in Patna. And then the first time it really impressed me a lot, the event which was done in 1987, International ISTD program at Vignan Bhavan, which is one of the most memorable events I ever attended, where the many luminaries were there, including Dr. P.N. Singh, Dr. Vinayshil Gautam, Dr. Udesh Kohli, and so on. So I've been a life member of ISTD for 20 years, but I've never been so active. But thanks to Mukesh ji and others, now I have become more active. And I think, if at all anything I can contribute, I'll be happy to do this. But today's event I consider as a great prestige and a privilege to me and honored to be here, because I'm just following Dr. Munj Atreya, who was my guru, who taught me corporate lessons, not in the institution, but when I joined GSK way back 42 years back. So don't expect me to talk about as a thought leader or as a philosopher or as a poet. I just would like to express my view as a practicing manager, still trying to learn more and unlearn and relearn. This is my submission at the beginning as a disclaimer. Just to set the context right, I would like to start with saying this is more relevant here, the way we're going through the current crisis and managing the crisis and energizing the human resources. In my 49 years of corporate career, out of my 50 years work career, I think I've been associated with the one company over 4 decades, 41 years. But to sum it up in one sentence, I have not changed my name. I have not changed my profession, but the company with which I've been associated for 41 years has changed its names 5 times. Earlier, I used to say 4 times, while before we talked to me, it happened 5 times. Be it you call the Horlicks Limited or Beecham Limited or SmithKline Beecham or GlaxoSmithKline, or now this has gone to Hindustan Unilever, where I get my pension benefits. So this is the change which has happened in the world. It happened. So this is one aspect which can have a great impact, not only in organizations and people, but also in the role of the HR. That is the reason why I said HR with heart. When I said HR with heart, it doesn't mean that we will not apply our mind. It's a balanced approach we need to have. Everybody applies their mind, take a very logical, based on some predictive analysis, based on a lot of big data analysis. but also you need to give that soft touch, which I call get the balance right by approaching a concept which I picked it up, which I will share with you, what I known as the art of tough love. Tough on issues, but soft on people. I think you need to have a business continuity, sustainability, and growth of the organization. At the same time, you need to have that soft touch and care for people, to nurture them, teach them, and grow them so that they can also contribute to the organization. So this is my basic theme on which I want to proceed. So if you can you please keep the first slide, please? Yeah, please go on. Next one. Yeah. You see, when you start the presentation, I just want to say this I was taught when I was in my senior Cambridge, way back, maybe, more than 55 years back. But this has a great impact on me. You can say this has shaped me, helped me to develop further my thoughts and ideas to deal with this. It's not because there is a heart within there. I think this is the Psalm of Life by Henry William Longfellow. It's important if you see this, why I'm saying it, if you recall, this was said in 1838. But today it holds so true if you read it. He said it in a more optimistic way, not in a pessimistic way, which is said, trust no future, however pleasant. He was trying to say, it may appear to be very pleasant now, but we can't completely be certain what future would bring to you, our life. So what you look very good at this point may change with time. Moreover, we may get complacent and we are obsessed with our bright future and neglecting our duties in future. So it is wise to work and continue to work in order to achieve perfection as a quality as no ending. So it is with heart within and God overhead, act in the living present. It doesn't mean that you can't, the best way to predict future is to create it, which Peter Drucker said many years ago. But this holds so good today. If you see what happened in last 8 months, I never imagined when I left the office on March 17th, before I returned in 30th September, that I would not go back to my office, which never happened. And I never thought that a very important board meeting on mergers and acquisitions relating to a large multinationals, where I was chairing one company, would happen through a virtual meeting, which was never could happen by virtue of law or otherwise. So what they teach you is that, yes, you need to have a future, but I think you need to carve out the future. Don't build the castles and then act in the present with God overhead. I think it's very relevant in the context in which you're talking, though it was said about 180 years back. Next slide, please. Yes, this is a very nice statement, soothing statement for HR people to hear. There are many people have said it, but I'm specifically quoting P&G because I consider P&G was a great company for people where they manage the heart of tough love very well. It says, if you take away money building but leave my people, we can rebuild the whole thing in a decade. It may not be in decade, it may be faster today, but he said it in 1947. I think still it holds good. Having said that, now let me make it provocative. I think this is where I request the younger professionals to think those things carefully. If you go and see it, this I've been doing some research for many, many years. I'm still not totally reconciled it, but I don't want to be sound. If you read this article, Wickham Skinner, way back in September 81 in Harvard Business Review, that's why I put the dates, is important. He said, the HR guys, big hat, but no cattle. What he meant was that you have much infrastructure, process, systems, all that, but no delivery. You do training programs, but you don't evaluate and you don't keep score of that, how it's going, impact on people. So these are some of a very, very, I would say, very tough to listen, but this is very provocating. I think we have to take some feedback. it's very important for me, the years. You move to 96. They gone one step further. He said it's time for Human Resource Department to put up or shut up. Because, after 15 years from 81, you have not done much. You are only doing still the GE model of 20, 70, 10, whereas finance have moved up, marketing has moved up, operations have moved up, but you have not done, you are doing the same processes. You are administrative, supportive, but you have not done much. If you see the next slide, please. Yeah, why we hate HR. I think, they said in 2005, I think it is talking about 25 years later, still, the hold is, the talk is why we hate HR. Because, it may be little more pungent, you may not like it, but they've said so a couple of things is very interesting, especially 2005 article. You said you don't have seat at the table because the room is locked. You can't enter because you don't have a strategic insight. You don't have the outcome-based principles. You're totally administrative and supportive. You would love to do what you're being 10 years or 15 years. You have not grown. I think, this is what's hurt me also very, very immensely and profoundly too. Then it is time to split HR. Of course, Ramcharan went one step further in a different direction and said, you need to split. One is the administrative, one is the organization, learning and development. So why I'm saying is it's important for us how the people perceive some of them. It may not be 100% true. It may not be really true. But later I'll come to you in the end to give you some soothing message. What people have think like Dave Aldridge's or Peter Capilli in a different sense. Once Peter Capilli said, we love to hate HR, but what HR should do it. So I think, one of the things which I want to give this message is, look, there is a perspective that we are very inward looking. We are not very agile. When the speed to market is lacking, we don't focus on more in development and aligning our policies with the business policies, but rather we are in our own cocoon. You need to come out. Things have happened. I think people are moving it. I think we need to go with a positive message, but this is something, which is really important to reflect and introspect, and one has to take his own courses apart from getting the help from the organizations and coaches and so on. What is here, I just want to give a pause and say that what at the beginning of your career, couple of things what you do as a child, I think, I was very fortunate to have a very caring and a nurturing parents. I think what they taught at that time is still holds good for me after 65 years. And similarly, the caring and nurturing what they do, followed by the sharpening your personality and giving some tips is important at a later stage by the teachers. Then you have while you have the support of the family, I think it is where your leaders who will inspire you to grow further and develop something which is very critical, not only for your own development and do it. So I want to build on this before I get into the next slide of it. The point, which I want to say, which I want to base my talk is what I said art of tough love. He said how the art of tough love has helped me to develop my personality. This started when I was young. My father was a judge at that time. And when I was doing very tough, when I was a student, I saw him used to go and execute the death sentences, whereas execution of death sentences, whereas most of the other colleagues were trying to avoid perhaps for certain reasons, sentimental reasons. I didn't know till I realized later, he said one thing at that time, he did not put it in a management jargon. He told me one thing, he said, there is something which you need to do the right and the duty which you need to perform, you need to do it. So then later, when I was started doing these many tough, when you started doing in HR, you will start doing many things. Some of them are great. Some of them may not be liked by the employees or the organizations. You need to get the balance right. What I learned is tough on issues, soft on people. When I was struggling with some of the things, when you try to take a massive disciplinary actions or restructuring, there are a lot of people in a small places, in the factories where you are the factory head, when the people come and just the families plead with you, you used to get, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? And my son was very young at that time. He used to see, he used to come out whenever I used to go. Somebody used to fall on my feet saying, please help my son or help my husband. It used to touch me. Then one day I was talking to my father. My father said, I saw next day he has given a life imprisonment and a death sentence. That earlier the evening he was sitting with me and having a dinner. And, there was no signs of any of such actions, where I was struggling all the time, whether to take a strict disciplinary action or do a retrenchment part of the business while doing it with a lot of care. Then he said one thing, what you do, you should do it properly. Whatever you do, however you do it, if you do it with a feeling of touch and a feel, the guy will ultimately walk out. He may not like your decision, but he will see that, this fellow has, as a process, there is a fair play and equity. This is something which is not beyond it. So I think, that was a lesson which I learned it at that time. So way back when I was in school, and which was reinforced way back when I started my career with the GSK. But here, as I said, caring and nurturing parents, then the teachers, where, this is where I created this teachers. When you're talking about teachers, one of the things, Father Garden, who was my principal in the Lila College, he taught me one thing, son, you have to focus on studies. You've got a potential to be a good tennis player. You should start playing tennis. I said, Father, I'm from a service class. I can't move on playing tennis, because if I don't succeed there, I'm not good. I'm not saying, but it will help you team spirit, collaborative approach. I mean, he said it in his own language. I think, it touched my heart with the psalm of life, what has been taught to me, which made me to see you need to succeed in life, you need to progress, you need to nurture and develop tomorrow your children and, your employees, your trainees, your mentees, and you have to deal with your managers, superiors. But I think, ultimately that balance between the heart and the mind is very important. We need to do it. So this is where I said, when I started my career in 1971 with the DCM management training, the inspiration, what is an inspirational leader? It's coming from the heart, was Dr. Charatram, who was the chairman and managing director. When I was confirmed after 18 months of rigorous management training, he has given the confirmation letter with his own hand. Can you move to the next slide, please? One of the things which he said to me was, hello? Hello? Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, Alok, please move the slides.
Just move this slide. One of the things, yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, we can hear you.
Go ahead, please. Hello, Alok. Yeah, I think, I'm just trying to give that my career moving from 1970, where it gone up to 2020 in a span of 49 years plus. You see where Dr. Charatram as my leader, what has created to me is something which I can never forget. When he gave my confirmation letter, he said, Dwarka, your luck starts now, because I was being asked to go on a specific assignment to Lucknow. And you said he gave the confirmation letter, your luck starts now. This was way back in 1972. Late Dr. Charatram is no more, but this is something which I can never forget, because this is what it comes from the heart. It is not something in the rule book, how to deal with a management training confirmation, why chairman has to give. There's nothing like this. What you feel from the heart, which is driven, that is what it is. And I just want to irritate, if I'm recalling this after many years, which shows that how much impactful it had. Whatever you create as a HR leaders or a leaders who are dealing with people management, you need to create that impact on people. I think if you can't create that impact, then, it is not something you could say you have done very clinically, but, you have not done with a care and touch, which is required to be done for while dealing with the people. So, that's one. And when I came back, when my executive director was boss, he said, Dr. Charatram, I would like to keep Dwarka Prasad here in Delhi for one more year, for 6 months. He said, Monga, his name is not Dwarka Prasad, is Dwarkanath. Why I'm saying is small things, what you say touch the feel. When I was working in the factory, I know people by their token numbers. So, which is something, which is very, very inspiring to me, which helped me to, connect with people, so that connect and communicate, and which can lead to a collaboration can happen, do it. So coming on this, is created, this is the word hatch, match, and dispatch. One of the guys went to a church and he asked the priest, please explain to me in one sentence, what do you do here? The priest said, my son, I think you seem to be an HR guy. That's why he's asking question. Yeah. You see, I perform hatch, match, and dispatch. Okay. You can understand when I said hatch, match, and dispatch, what I mean. He said that when a young couple brings a small child, I bless him. When a man and woman comes to administer the wedding, I do. When somebody dies, I do the last rites. But now we have gone beyond hatch, match, and dispatch. This is where we started doing a 360-degree management, which requires the skills both in terms of your IQ as well as EQ, dealing with different key stakeholders. Whether be shareholders, be it suppliers, be it, addressing an investor meeting, or meeting a social media or a print media, whatever it is. So this is the 360-degree, which requires that more T-shaped skills and multiple skills, rather than focusing only on what we were doing right in terms of confining to hatch, match, and dispatch. Next slide, please. This is the current landscape. You can just, we are all aware. I think I don't have to say this anything more than that. Is the environment is dynamic and business is very competitive. When you're talking about the business, whom you think today your competitors may not be your competitors tomorrow. I think we need to understand that what Sony did to Kodak, Apple did to Sony. I think, it could be due to technology, but could be many other reasons, which I will allude in the next slide, which can happen. So the people can get bewildered, but recent pandemic also taught us what is this VUCA world. Today, we are talking about the Spanish flu of 1918. I never heard about Spanish flu till 2020 March. So this is the first time I'm hearing. So I think these are the things, but this can be a good wake-up call. This is where I said, when you work with compassion and passion, whoever it is, any leader, especially for HR, in terms of driving and energizing people and developing them and mentoring them, it's very important that you need to have this in mind, because nobody thought, if you go to the next slide, please. Nobody thought, this is a very important, who thought everybody was aiming to become esteem or self-actualization in the pyramid. But, suddenly the pyramid is reversed today. Now we've all gone, when what happened in lockdown, we all looked for food, water, and warmth, and then stability. Then do I retain my job or do I lose my job? Nobody's talked at that time self-actualization, esteem needs. I was talking to Professor T.V. Rao. He said, Dwarka, I classified into 3 needs of survival, security, and identity. I think, today the pyramid is the reverse. This is the paradoxical, but that is the reality of life. When you say a future is unpredictable, it doesn't mean in a pessimistic way. It could be half glass full, but I think you need to make it full. This is where I think, adopting to the change, a leader is one who can cope up with change is very important. This is what it narrates. I think it's a great example where you said it's become paradoxical. Next one, please. Yeah, go ahead. You see, I try to put it then when you're talking about future of work. I don't want to talk about just COVID, what happened to COVID. I'm talking in a more medium-term perspective, say 5 years at least, not immediately. How do you get back to the work and do that? When you talk, it's important, where GSK, we used to use the same acronym differently, saying trust, which is you have political aspects which will come into play when you're talking about globalization. Basically we are saying, globe is a village, world is flat. But what happens in US can impact you. What happens in China can impact you. And though in terms of it's become more try to be decentralized, but you are all globally connected, and it continues to have an impact wherever it happened in any part of the globe. As a HR people, we need to understand this and we need to move on. Then technology, I think we have adopted to remote working, flexi working. They have been there in some organizations for many years. But what it is important is that we need to ensure that when you're doing this sort of technology, are you taking care of the people in terms of engaging them? For example, GSK said ergonomics is very important. We helped people to manage the offices from home. That little bit of touch and care, you said, you need to create and provide them facility and help to make it more comfortable within the given context, and don't create that stress. The mental well-being and physical well-being, both are important. So this is where the future of work, when you're doing, you feel these sort of syndromes coming in, which you need to do. And consumerization, when I said consumerization, now it's no longer, he said, this is my job, this is specific roles. This is a very dynamic situation. People may say, I will work remotely, somebody works from there, somebody works in differently. I think the command and control situation has gone. It's more a distributed leadership where you need to demonstrate, give empowerment them, at the same time connect with them, communicate with them, and collaborate with them. This is what is going to happen. Okay, coming into generational differences, I think somebody asked me why you're retiring. I said, time has come to retire, because if I continue to work, nowadays I see to any forum where I go and address or participate or attend, I will see a lot of people coming back, calling me uncle. And my son is also a HR professional. He will call me dad. And tomorrow my grandson also can come and say that, whoa, grandpa. So it is time for us to understand the realities when you're doing a multi-generation. For me, this is the greatest opportunity for HR to manage different kinds of people, different strokes for different folks. It's important. At the same time, you need to bring the diversity and inclusion. It is not only gender diversity, it is not age diversity, but also the approaches, thinking, processes, which is very important. This is where I said I strongly believe in a term which I'm trying to write a book, which is called Mali to Malik. A good HR guy with a heart and good mind is somebody who is able to touch the heart of the Mali, the security guard or the gardener, up to the chairman of the company. That bandwidth which you need to have, then only HR can reimagine what we do and do it well. Next slide, please. This leads to many game changers. I think, okay, it's a saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast. I would put it slightly differently. Culture is very important. This is the lifeline and the DNA. I think, my experience in GSK, where I've gone through 5 mergers, ultimately, it taught me many things. One of the things which I would say here, when you are talking about the culture ultimately drives the change. The one which I want to say here is tone at the top is important. I mean, whether CEO or the chairman of the company and the HR leader walk the talk. If you don't do the walk the talk, I think, this will not cascade down to the other levels of management. So this is where I said, culture plays an important role. And then, jobs changes, I said, is a consumerization happen. You have the generations, please go ahead. And the diversity coming in, multi-generation work, diversity and inclusion. I said, agility. I think, no longer you can say when GSK many years ago, we used to call 1, 3, 5 years plan or 10 years plan. Now you're talking about very short term. I think, speed to market, FMCG, like that, speed to reach employees, to attract them and develop them and nurture them and talent them has become important. Technology and artificial and machine learning. You see, one of the things which you said, how do you balance between high tech and high touch? And how do you balance between, livelihood and lives? These are some things, you said when you're talking about mergers. I just want to spend a few minutes on this mergers and acquisitions. But I think this is a transformation change. If you don't have a great leader who says tone at the top, organization as zero, and if the culture is not hardwired, the soft stuff, you may have a great values, you may display everywhere in your websites, but if you don't execute it as by good strategy, it will never work. This is where I said you may have a great values. How do you dovetail the values into practices, procedures, or policies? What GSK is coined in a book, famous book written by them based on the successful merger of SmithKline and Beecham, what I call hardwiring the soft stuff, which is very important. You see, when you're talking about this learning and unlearning, you learn from many experiences. I think you will be surprised when you're doing a great merger. How do you apply your heart? You may ask me. I think I need to say, I have experienced it. I think great companies will put this HR at the table right from the beginning. And secondly, it is not only the swap ratios, the commercial, legal aspects, business aspects are important. If I don't want to dive deep into it, but to say the swap ratios are important, financial transactions important, but are you protecting the interest of the employees are important. For example, post-retirement medical benefits in one company is there. Are you protecting? You may say with this a small amount, a small thing, but what is small to organization or the shareholders or to the board may not be this small to an employee. I think this is where the HR with heart will come into play, to step into their shoes, be empathetic and understand and move forward. I think, this is where I think there's a lot of difference in terms of approaches. If you don't do it, that culture will create a problem later when you do integration. That's why most of the mergers are restructuring or fundamental restructuring of business models, which will collapse because you never tested the culture and the people and leadership parameters at the beginning. Next slide, please. Yeah, then future at the walk. I mean, you see, build critical skills, competencies, which I said, when your critical skills is T-shaped skills, in not only diving deep into it, but multifunctional. Next one, please. Keep rolling the organizational design and change management. As I said, today we are talking about different types of structures. It's not a flat structures, it's not matrix structures. What it suits your business requirements, we do it. This is where I think next one, please go ahead. Current and future leadership bench. I think bench strength is important. I think some of the things you need to say when I say, heart, you HR with heart, people may say, are you not analytical? Are you not scientific? What are you talking? What is that gut feel? I think gut feel is also very important when you are dealing with it. Similarly with heart, which is HR with heart, is paramount for us. Without that, you can't succeed. And this is where it helps you. The next one, enabling organizations to adapt to the future work is important. Number 5, please. Next one, yeah. Enhancing employees' experience. I think, one thing very quickly, I just want to say experiences, what you learn, I think it's which will help you a lot. When I said, when I was young, when I was following, I think you follow some of them role models. I said parent, teachers, and your bosses. I think one of the things which I've asked, which helped me to think about myself was my meeting with my global HR head. When I went there, I didn't realize that he's been interviewing me. At that time, I was a corporate HR manager for a HR directorship. He asked me one question. He said, Dwarka, you have been with the company now for 13 years. Okay. How many people you have developed? Who were they earlier? What are they today? And how did you develop? I didn't have a proper answer. I thought, I didn't realize that he was interviewing me for a job which will be vacant after 1 or 2 years when my boss resigns. This is the leader is one who asked those questions, and he has coached me and mentored me. He said, you are delivering it, but you should know what you deliver, but how you deliver is important. I think, this is where you touch and the feel of the person. It is not showing a rule book or a concept or a theory or a practice, but, you practice it. Then I started looking at it. Yes. So then there is a learning which you will have. These are the experiences which you need to say. I can keep on talking about my experiences, but paucity of time. How do you learn in employee relations from your bosses? Where one of my bosses used to deal with them depending on what you do. I think, it's important. Okay. Next slide, please. Next slide. The heart of leadership, I think, this is where he said, I'm just trying to say empathy is very important. I think I like the Jim Collins said a level 5 leader is one who shows humility, personal humility with a professional will. That's why you don't find many of the top leaders as shown it, because they lacked humility. I think HR, if you want to really succeed with heart, the humility, empathy, the trust and credibility is very important. And I think, you need to understand business strategy. This is where we criticize that we don't participate in business. We lack business savvy, organization foresight, strategic foresight. Next one, please. And also in terms of, next slide, managing employee welfare. I think, this we developed now. Earlier, focus was on only employee. Now it's not only the physical health, emotional health, or spiritual health, or the safety, and also make them digitally readiness is become important. Next slide. So this is the challenge we have when you're doing balancing lives and livelihood. HR with heart and mind helps. Go to the next slide, please. You see, while I'm talking about the key takeaways, before I just conclude, this is the last one slide I have. I want to stick to my time. So one of the things which we have realized today is that the tone at the top, I said, is important. Next one. Hardwiring the soft stuff. Is no point in having value statements, but if you don't want to translate it. One of the value statements always is respect other views. Everyone committed, everyone contributing. Develop self and others. The last but one I want to note is people will be respected, trusted, not only for their positional authority versus personal influence. It is the credibility of the person, especially for HR. It is how authentic. There's no point in telling I'm authentic, I'm credible. People have to believe in it. And this can be, HR can play an important role in doing it. Continuous learning, a lifelong survival skill. I think you need to change. You want to be relevant and contextual. I think you need to work yourself. Next one. If you don't keep scoring, you're just practicing. This is one thing which has been criticized by HR. You don't deliver, you don't talk about activities, talk about the outcome. We have improved, we have gone further, but I think it's important. Learn to keep emotions away while taking tough decisions. You need to take tough calls, but how do you treat it? How do you treat him is important. When a senior manager in the factory was outlived his utility, there was a restructuring, has been given a good package, but he said, while more than the package, please give me 3 more months, not just 3 months. He said, why? My daughter is getting married, and this is the time I need to be in this position. Otherwise, I'll be seen very differently in this small town. Please help me. I think, if you go to the rule book, if you go to UK or you talk a rule book, this is the rule book. But, this is where you need to touch the heart. I said, okay, we'll work out something. It is not that everything you flout the rules and make it, make it so difficult for people to implement it. Then you quote the person, I'll quote the rule. That is not the issue. But within the win-win attitude, how can you make and touch the feel of the heart? There are many people, because of the restructuring, as a landmark factories in Bombay have to be closed. But the team try to understand what are the needs. You customize the needs. Somebody wants the education of the children. Somebody wants the healthcare to be taken because they work with the organization for long. It is not one size fits all. But, it's kind of diversity in Mali to Malik. This is the concept in which the heart will play an important role. Yeah, yes, please. Different strokes for different folks. Yeah. Psychic income. I think, this is very important. Everything is not money. How Dr. Charatram said, your luck starts now. How we corrected my name with someone and, pat in the back by my GSK boss saying, that, it is not what you do, how you deliver, I'll help you. This is something, which should be unsolicited. It is not something, a structure or a rule or a process, but this is where HR can play an important role. Next one. Next slide, please. Human race. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Next slide. Can I have a seat at the table? I think you please see the two slides. I think you heard the one story with a myth or reality. Train people enough so can leave, treat them well enough they don't want. Ultimately, what is treat them well, respect them. It is not just the training, it is not just the money, it is not the titles, but also the respect you give. People work from a companies, they may not be great paymasters, but they give the growth, they care for people, nurture the people, develop people. I think they will be very happy. I mean, every high-paid company is not the best company, a most admired company. Similarly, who says we found the leadership profiles are successful, most closely matched? That this was the recent statement of 2014. That's why I put the dates so that you see there is something later which things have changed in the last 6 years. I think you look for it, but I think it's very important. It's not only the mind, but the heart. It is not the policies and rules. And go on. Next slide. The last slide, which is said, if you want a seat at the table, please go ahead. Please go ahead. There are 4 kinds of people: people who do not know what's happening, people who watch things happening, people to whom things happen, and distinguished minority are those who make things happen. Next, I wish HR is in this distinguished minority who makes things happen, and they not only run the organizations, who says they can't get the corner office, who can't have a seat at the table, provided you apply the balanced approach of HR with heart and mind and makes things happen. Thank you very much for your patience and listening.
Okay. So thank you, Mr. Dwarkanath, for a very engaging presentation. Many great ideas and examples presented, very relevant, lots of implementable ideas, and time has just flown by. So now we have about 10 minutes for question answer session. So we have a few questions, which I've written down. So the first question, sir, is by Dr. Busrai, Akhil Busrai, and he's asking that how do you impress upon younger managers who are relying on technology only, attending to laptops and not meeting people?
Akhil bhai, excellent question. My view is yes. I think when I said HR with heart, when you try to approach them, respect them, as I said, GSK, everyone is committed, everyone can contribute. Unfortunately, in India, mostly in India, we suffer from the syndrome of A square, age and authority. If I'm elder to you, I'm senior in position, I know it all, even though I don't know. I think I faced this problem. One of the young trainees who joined in 1 month after she joined from Excel, 1997, she said, "Sir, I don't agree with your approach." Everybody was surprised. And I said, everybody said to her, I believe now you Naukari Gaya, whom you're talking, how can you say it? She came to me. So I said, not to worry. I calmed her. I said, let me understand you. I think what she said to a large extent is right. I think when you accept their views and you treat them on par, not that your experience is not equal to my experience is not to equal to your age, then you lost it. Once you start doing it, they may do all the gadgets, they may do it. The connect, now one thing has proved very clearly, you can have a connect, you may not have exactly the physical connect, which is very important, but at least given you can connect with people. I used to talk to my people who are in global secondments in different parts of the world, Kenya, Nigeria, whatever it is, and talk to them, how are you doing? That personal touch, if you treat them well and treat them on par, not because of the age or hierarchy, then I think 50% of the battle, they will come to me. Today, I'm sure many people will come to you from levers at Shell, for me, GSK or DCM, saying, what should I do today? That is where the personal credibility versus positional authority will come into play.
Okay. Thank you very much. So the second question is by Mr. Vijay Kaul. He's asking, how does a manager handle downsizing? The compassion that you feel for those losing jobs and livelihood.
Yeah. It's again a great question. You allow me to expand it. I think when you're doing hatch, match, and dispatch, I think, the job of HR is very critical. Sometimes you do very nice jobs. No longer we are just doing welfare or a picnics organizing, but we have to do it. I think very thing is important. Shared purpose and shared belief, that sense of belongingness, this is something aligned with the business, is not done to victimize anybody. Nobody would like to tell him that you are not required or you become redundant. It's not easy. But how you communicate it, this is where customization, different strokes for different people is there. I have experienced it when I was telling anybody, when once his process has gone through, we are telling him, be polite. One of the line managers who are sitting with me, and one of the things, after a few minutes, he got irritated. You said, your performance was not good. Your attitude was not good. He said, what do you mean by, when did you tell me this? Where did you tell me? Which feedback? Then you'd get into a situation. I think what is important, I gave that very quickly, this anecdote, how you treated that factory senior executive. When he made that request, he knew that he lost the job. Nobody will be happy and shake hands and thank you. But I would say 99% of the people who left my office felt that you have treated them with respect, treated them with dignity. And, but this is something inevitable. This is a tough call. This is where the art of tough love, conveying it nicely, convincing, trying to convince them. They may not be happy, but at the same time, they are happy. There is a fair play and equity. I think that's important.
Okay. Right. Thank you so much. Next is by Mr. Manoj Kumar. He's asking, all line managers are expected to play the role of HR managers to their team all the time in some way or the other. Can the different work styles and belief of the line managers and the HR managers lead to a situation of conflict in people's management? If so, how can such a conflict be resolved?
It's a very practical question. All the HR colleagues here were sitting. They must be having gone through it, line versus staff role or a HR role. But I think we have moved away from it in a good organization. That makes a difference between a good organization and a great organization. In great organizations, the HR, what I call develop self and others. I think it's the job of the HR people, if you ask me, to train and develop the line managers to prepare the skills of managing with the people. See, the first, they should come for expertise, advice, or anything. I faced it in the factory, the line managers, production manager used to say, please talk to HR. This is a union matter. It's not a union matter. It's an individual grievance. I think, labeled it. This is where the training, that's what I'm saying, how to create that compassion and empathy and to deal with them. You may not be able to resolve all the issues, but you must prepare. There is an element of courage is required to tell no, but the way of saying no or dealing with it is important. So the training to the line managers by HR can avoid a conflict to large. This is where the culture of the organization, tone at the top is important.
Right. Thank you. So one question is by Dr. Sunil Abrol. He's saying, Dwarka Garu, what are your experiences on HR being consistent and reliable?
You see, if my dear friend, Dr. Sunil Abrol is saying, I think, he is one of the few triple PhDs and he has written many books. I think, my experience is different. You see, it all depends. I enjoyed working, I had opportunity to work with sales, opportunity to work with corporate legal and communication. You see, you need to enjoy the job. Some of the functions, it's not that every job you need to enjoy, but some jobs required further degree of commitment is required, like voluntary organizations, NGOs. that cyclic income is very important. If you have worked for one company associated for 41 years, the company, how it treats you is important. It is not just the money and position and the titles, but how you treat it. I just want to, I don't want to sound big. I think, it's very rare for a HR guy who has retired but continued on the board to become the chairman of the company and to deal with the matters ultimately, which I realized there were the tough positions of trying to sell the company. So I think, if you have that passion and you are enjoying it, I think, you can always prove it to be right. If you're not there, then, you always struggle with HR. I can't do, what shall I do? I never had a problem with my leaders in accepting. I think HR has to earn respect. It can't command respect.
Right. Okay. Sir, thank you. The next question is by Mr. Ajay Sahu. He's a general secretary also. So he's asking that with AI and chatbots coming in a big way, how do we continue to retain the human in human resource?
This is where I think, for example, in last 7 months, it's a great litmus test. The organizations who could retain and treat their people well, they've all prospered. Sometimes if you don't have a financial capacity, you can't survive, it's different. As long as you survive, don't adopt shortcuts. The litmus test for me was a recent thing where the branded companies which has got the touch and this care for the people have proved very differently. I think the companies where you looked at the P&L of 1 year, then they have adopted a different. I'm not saying cost is not important. Cost is important. Operational efficiency important. But there are many ways of doing it. I'm just giving you as a sort of, I've read it, one of the multinational banks said, okay, we can't afford to have so many people, but let us split this job into for the 2 people, they can get something. So there are various ways of addressing it, provided you applied your heart. If you say rule book, I think it's gone. Here I want to say one of the books which were very impressed by me was Mark Buckingham book, First Break All Rules. I think you have to get out of the traditional wisdom of HR. What you have done yesterday holds good today. It may not hold good. What today you have done in 7 months may not hold good. After some time, if you do remotely all the time when things are normal, people may not like it. Because, when we talk about flexible working hours in 95 or paternity leave in 95 in GSK, there were some novel things. We got the best employees. Today, it's everybody does it. I think it's not that you want to keep on doing unique, but how you do it. I given one example. Way back when somebody in Nigeria or in London or Kenya, I used to connect with him there's no process. Nobody asked me to connect with them. They used to feel so good. Somebody is talking to me from my home country. Somebody is talking from my company where I started my career, which I may go back. So that connect, collaborate, connect, communicate. I think, this is very important. It's not only for HR, for any line managers, but for more, it is for HR.
Okay. So lots of appreciation, lots of nice comments, but one comment I would like to share with you is by Professor T.V. Rao, and he's saying, Dwarka Garu, your heart resonates a large part of my heart, and thanks for such excellent points. Human has to be focus of HR. So what how well he is, put it.
This is my guru.
Thank you very much.
This is my guru. I would say that I'm really, I'm privileged to have Dr. T.V. Rao here because he is not only senior, he's a founder of the HRD network, the another great organization which he has nurtured, and he did it with heart.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So now I would like to invite Mr. D.V. Shastri to, give a formal vote of thanks. Dr. Shaud.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I hope I am audible.
Yes, you are. You are, sir.
So it is indeed a matter of pleasure for all of us, as always, to listen to Dwarkanath ji. In fact, I rang him up day before yesterday and I told him that I am very eager to listen to you. And it was indeed a wonderful evening talk by him. And the mantras which he has given us, truly speaking, yes, HR is a matter of practice and connecting with people. Let me share with you a small experience during the lockdown when everybody was confined to their homes. In Gale, we took an initiative. We named it as Sparsh. We, got hold of 50, 60 members as volunteers. And what we did is to make a phone call to each of the employees, not only the active employees, but the retired employees also. So there was one-to-one conversation with each of the employees to ask about their well-being, the well-being of their family members, and the help which can be extended by the company, whatever we can. So that Sparsh really touched the hearts of the people, and I mean, it is a win-win situation. The organization is happy, the people are happy, and even in the most difficult times, we are able to manage the things, and we are able to maintain the continuity of the business. So that is the power of strong people connect. And this session was very learningful. He mentioned about continuous learning. Yes, as Peter Senge talks about learning organization. So if an organization has to be outstanding or has to outperform others, then becoming learning organization is a prerequisite. And Dwarakanath ji also talked very good thing about art of tough love. That is what is required, because it is a common human tendency. All of us want to remain in appeasement mode. That is not going to take us anywhere. So a lot of takeaways from today's session. He talked about the digital technology, but the challenge is how to remain human while being in tune with the technology. So these are the things to be kept in mind while we are practicing the HR profession. And it is indeed a matter of privilege for all of us to have the senior people during this session, the past presidents and the very senior members like Dr. Abral, Dr. Yogesh Upadhyay, Johri Lalji, Dr. T.V. Rao, Professor Benwet, Dr. Akil Basrai, Dr. G.P. Rao, and the National Council member, Dr. Radha Rani Sharma, Mr. Deepak Bharara, Mr. Y.N. Kaushal, Dr. Manasi Chaudhary from BIMTech, then Itilekha made a beautiful introduction of the program and the speaker, and of course Pritimaji, who is taking this initiative of evening talks forward in a nice manner. So I, on my own behalf, on behalf of the managing committee chaired by Shri Mukesh Jain, our honorary secretary, Mr. Ajay Sahu, Deepak Jain, Sucharita ji is also there. She is also a member of our managing committee, and all other members who have contributed to the success of this evening talk. I profusely thank Mr. Dwarkanath ji for having delivered such a wonderful talk. Thank you very much. And thanks to all for their kind presence in this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Pratima ji, you are mute. Pratima ji, आप mute हैं. हाँ.
I'm sorry. So to share with you our future program, the next one. Mr. Sahu.
Okay, right. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm really happy and humbled to note that the participants did what Hardik Pandya could not do today. Hardik Pandya stopped at 90. We reached 100 today. So thank you very much. And what better occasion, and I would like to take this opportunity to inform all our participants that next week, Mr. S.Y. Siddiqui, Executive Advisor, Maruti Suzuki Limited, he will be talking on leadership in a world of disruption, real test of character. And the week following that, on 11th of December, we have Dr. Jawhari Lal, who will be speaking on the next Friday, same time. Thank you very much, and good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good
Good
evening.
night. Thank you.
अभी मिलाता हूँ.
Thank you, Mukesh ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Sir,
sir.
very well.
Grateful
Thank you.
to
Thank you.
all, one and all. It was a
Thank you.
wonderful session. I'm very delighted to have
No,
Dwarkanath
Excellent.
Garu here and such a wonderful talk. We are absolutely, what I'm not having words to praise.
no.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Prithima ji.
Actually,
Thank
I
you.
need to say one thing, sir. I not only learned from my seniors and peers, I've also learned from my mentees. For last 15 years, my learning was from them. So I'm very obliged. And always people like you and Dr. G.P. Rao is always there to motivate you,
नहीं,
feed
नहीं.
you and guide you. So I think, I'm very thankful to all of you.